Morning, Miss. Hey, good morning, Greg J. Coffee Conversations with Greg J is on. How are you today? Tuesday. What is this? The 6th? My goodness. Time is flying, isn't it? Time is flying, and we're making our way through this whole unprecedented time. Lots going on in the world today. Whew. Yeah. Hope you guys are doing okay. Hope your family's okay. Hope everybody is doing well, even as we go through our COVID-19. We're doing this thing, huh? Still considering those shots, though. I know some of y'all are vaccinating and try to make me feel bad because I ain't got my vaccination yet. But, look, I got to think about this thing for a minute. And one thing we're doing here at Coffee Conversations with Greg J, while we're thinking about it, is bringing you high-level medical professionals so we can get the information. That's what's important. Get the information and then make up your own mind. Pandemic got us looking at all kinds of things, pop culture all across the world. I mean, I really see how the pivot is happening, how we look at media, the great cool stuff that we see. Everybody talking about Versus. Versus was the Isley Brothers against Earth, Wind, and Fire. And Black Twitter is lighting up our man Steve Harvey, and people are just really, saluting the majesty that is those two legendary musical groups. Lots of other things happening in pop culture all across the world. So that's what we're going to talk about this morning. And so as I was kind of thinking about it, it's really interesting how the entire imagination of music fans was captured by Versus, and this hasn't been the only one. This has been something that was birthed out of the pandemic, right? You see how we do? This is good stuff, And so I thought about it. I said, who could I have a great conversation with about pop culture? From a Black perspective, of course, because that's where we're coming from. And it's all over the world, just kind of chop it up. And I thought about my girl, Tammi Mac. She's here, ready to sip some coffee. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you today, Tammi Mac? You doing okay? How's the family? You doing okay in this COVID stuff?
Everybody's fine. Yeah.
All right. Well, I see you doing some great things out there with your media brand. You're blowing up to be a global media superstar is what I see. I'm just proud to know you. Look, let me carry your water today.
You way too kind.
So look, okay, Versus, what you got to say?
I loved it. Every bit of it. I loved it. Versus, every Versus is a staple in terms of what happens. So it's almost like you're at a party and the next day everybody's talking about the party and you hate you missed the party. So whether it was a good piece of the party, a bad piece of the party, a shocking piece of the party, you think about Jeezy versus Gucci Mane where, they had a real beef, one killed the other, one's friend killed the other's friend. And the other one was like dogging them out about it or ragging them about it. And so they come together for the first time. They clear the beef. They clear the air. Like it is definitely a pop culture thing, something that's cemented into pop culture. And it was the most watched Versus with about 9 million views. So yeah, I think that every Versus has its own staple and it's in a part of history, if you will. I mean, even when we talk about Steve Harvey kind of talking on the Versus with the Isley Brothers and Earth, Wind, and Fire. I mean, that's the part that we sip our coffee to in the morning. You know what I'm saying? That's the part we sit around and sip our coffee and talk about and dog out. And it's one of those things where you had to have been there to even get it, you know? So it's the place that every Black person has to be. And I'm gonna tell you something else about Versus. It is definitely a Black thing. You know how people say it's a Black thing you wouldn't understand. Yeah. So if you have not been groomed and grown in Black culture, you wouldn't even understand what's happening in a versus battle. You wouldn't understand the comments. I mean, I know one of my comments I made was, I know you fellas trying to grab a woman and grind up against her at the skating rink right now. I don't know who would understand that other than a Black person. That's what I mean? Only Black people know you go to the skating rink not to skate after 10 p.m., but to get your dance on after 10 p.m., you know, and then the slow song comes on. And the lames go buy a drink or some Frito pies, and then the dudes who got it grab a girl and you put her up against the wall and you slow grind to some Isley Brothers or some Earth, Wind and Fire, you know. And only Black people would understand that reference. And so if other people from other countries were to join in, they would just be like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah. You know, speaking of global perspectives, I mean, versus, I see a lot of comments about the verses from Africa, and we do know that Black folks in Africa look to our community. I mean, we are the foundation of modern pop culture in Africa. If you were to get someone on this line from South Africa or from Nairobi, Kenya, or Abuja, Nigeria, would you be surprised that they're looking at verses and having these same types of reactions that we are?
I don't think I would be surprised. I do believe that verses is a Black American culture. Mm-hmm. So even if you're African, I don't think you would get the references that some people make. However, there are some that you probably would get. I think when people were kind of ragging on Steve Harvey, you know, Steve Harvey said, well, this is what old people do. This is what we do. We sit around and talk. Y'all mad because I'm talking, but this is what old people sit around and, you know, and we talk about our lives and we talk about stuff. And so I think that there are certain portions that our African brothers and sisters would definitely be able to relate to, but I'm not African, so I can't attest to that in a factual way.
But you are African.
Well, I mean, I'm not African culture like you, my brother.
Oh, so funny, so funny. All right, so look, also the fashion and the you know, the gray beard look. I guess Ron Isley got all the sisters on 10 right now.
I was one. I must admit. I mean, I put on my social media, Ron Isley can get it. So and over 2,000 comments in less than a minute with other sisters going, I feel you, Tammi Mac, I feel you. There was certainly something sexy about his swag in that Isley Brothers EWF verses. There was certainly something about that swag.
Well, shoot, I tried to grow my beard in this quarantine environment, and I lasted a little while, but I couldn't take it.
Beard, Greg, and I thought it was very, I thought it had that v, you know, when he snatched it off, and I'm like, what happened?
Maybe sometime, you know.
I try to tell my husband he hated the gray beard. And I said, could you please just wear it for me, just for me? So every now and again, you know, he'll let it grow out for me, but he does not like it. When he gets ready to go to a meeting or something like that, he shaves it off.
That's right. That's right. Yes. That joint is itchy, man.
He should have known when I said Ron Isley could get it, he should have known that I meant that.
Hilarious. Well, all right. So now, okay, let's switch to other pop culture news. We're hearing about our brother DMX. Man, you know, what's the story on that? Heart attack or drug overdose, or what's the deal?
I'm no doctor, Greg J, but I do believe that a drug overdose can cause a heart attack.
Yeah.
You know, it affects your cardiovascular muscles. So that's very possible that a drug overdose could have sent him into cardiac arrest. But I think we all know that DMX has suffered from drug addiction for decades. And we're very sorry to see him in this space. And one thing about Black people is we are very forgiving. And we love our people in spite of whatever they may be going through. El DeBarge is an example. You know, El DeBarge was on and off drugs, and we rallied around him when he made his comeback. And DMX is no different, you know. We don't care what you've gone through in the streets because we understand what those streets can do to you. We understand the disadvantages that we are given from Jump Street. And so when something like this happens, we can't do anything other than love on him and pray him back to good health, and pray that if he does come through this time, that he'll make it this time, you know, in terms of a real life that he can live fulfilled and not get back on drugs. Drugs is a hard thing. It's many people who are on drugs tell you it's very, very difficult. I believe them. I believe them.
I always say, you know, redemption equals recovery. And, you know, it's good that the community would forgive, and then hopefully he can also forgive himself so he can be well. But certainly this is the last, you know, to be in the hospital bed, you know, as a result that's a tough thing. And maybe that'll be, you know, the one thing that causes him to say, you know what, I'm done with this.
We are all pulling for DMX. And I think when we pull for celebrities like this, you know, when we pull for them, I think we are literally pulling for someone that we know who's been through the same thing. So it comes from a real space and a real place. The love. We want Black people to win. Black people want Black people to win. And we want to see DMX pull out of this and win. And we are all rallying around him. And it's funny because I was talking about Tyrese on the radio yesterday, because Tyrese was in the chat for the versus battle. And he put in the chat that his mother was a drunk, right? And people were like, that's kind of inappropriate. Leave it to Tyrese to bring the party down with some bullshit like this. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, what did your mama being a drunk got to do with the Isley Brothers and the Earth, Wind, and Fire versus battle, Tyrese? But Tyrese is another one of those that we continue to pull for, you know, because we love him in a way. And we tried to love on R. Kelly. We tried.
We did.
Why? I mean, R. Kelly had been doing his thing, his wrong thing for I don't know how many decades. And folks stood by him, you know, until the women
had a
chance to speak their parts. But Tyrese is another one that we pull for him. You know, he goes through things and we feel like he's our family. And we all really do have that family member that we know personally. And that's why we pull for the celebrities in that way, because Black people want Black people to win.
Yeah. You know, and this is good stuff to hear you say that. And I see your post of positive affirmations to our people. I really, really do like that. And this brings to mind this comment here from Dr. Gloria Willingham. She says she's the grandmother of a Bennett Bell. You're a wonderful role model for her and countless others. Love your bold spirit of lifting as we climb. So I always have been very proud of you and your Bennett heritage. You know, I've mentioned it.
The Stallion just gave Bennett $25,000.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Right. See, you know, I really, really, really am proud of that. And now, you know, now in this day and time, let me just preface this by telling one of my favorite stories of consciousness is a time we were at a conference together out there in Minneapolis, and we got on the elevator. Hopefully you remember this. We got on the elevator, Tammi. And, you know, we at the radio conference out there, and we were one of the very few Black folks in this environment. Just understand.
I feel like we were the only Black radio station at that radio conference.
At the radio conference, we get on the elevator, and these white men get on the elevator, and Tammi Mac clutches her purse, and I was like, "Dang, boy, that was a powerful, powerful statement." Right there, you know, and you know, now we're in this era of heightened awareness of systemic racism they call them unconscious bias, implicit biases, all these types of things. And people are, I guess they're saying they try to correct them or anything. But one thing is sure, as we even watch the trial of Derek Chauvin out there in Minneapolis, how important is it for us to be a voice to the Black community as the Black community renews its look inward?
Us by, you mean Black people?
Yes.
Well, I think the Black Lives Matter movement showed us all how important it was. Don't think for 1 minute that if it weren't for the Black Lives Matter movement, that the things that we see today incrementally happening for Black people, don't think for 1 minute that that is not a result of Black people speaking out and being loud and very, very loud and bold about what we're asking for. I mean, come on. They took Aunt Jemima off the syrup bottle. You know what I'm saying? They took Uncle Ben off the rice. Like, this is some of the, I think that the fight for the civil rights movement had more overt racism that it had to deal with. This racism that we're dealing with today and the newer generations are taking head on is a little more, it's not as overt as the 60s. And so it's a little more difficult to analyze and to figure out what it is if you are not Black, because you don't know what that feeling is. Cher is apologizing right now. The legendary, iconic Cher is apologizing because she posted on her Twitter, I keep thinking that if I were at the George Floyd, if I were at that situation that happened, I could have helped. And I don't think for 1 minute Cher thought it would cause or create the backlash that it did, but it created a backlash because it's insensitive to the EMT that was there that couldn't help him, to the MMA fighter that was there that couldn't help him, to the paramedics that were there that couldn't help him, to the dispatcher that was there that couldn't help him, to the police officers that refused to help him. It's very insensitive to say, oh, but I'm Cher. And if I were there, I would have helped where the MMA fighter couldn't, the dispatcher couldn't, the EMT couldn't, but Cher to the rescue. Da, 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 white woman to the rescue. And I don't think that white people think like that. In every movie, I don't even fault Cher, Greg. In every movie where Black people win, there is a white person that is the hero. Every movie. And so therefore, white people get to think that, oh, if I were in that Black space, I could have helped that Black person. Yeah. Because that is what has been put out through mainstream media ever since.
How important, what's your responsibilities described for us as, a person of note in Black media? How important is Black media in our new voice of consciousness?
Black media is extremely important, but Black Twitter more than anything is even more important.
Black Twitter is influential, isn't it?
You don't want to be bragged by Black Twitter. That's what you don't want. But Black media is extremely important. And even on my show, my late night show, my radio show and my late night show, but more so my late night show, because it is owned by Fox Television. And so for me, it's important to dispel what people think we are, because we are not what you only see in movies and on television shows. We are much more than that. And so I make it my duty every night, and my producers know that our goal is to dispel the myths of Black people and who we are and what we are. So we always try to find people that can give a different perspective of what people think about Black people. Every Friday, I have Dr. O.J. Oleka on my show. He's a Republican, he's Black, and he is the co-founder of the Kentucky Coalition for Anti-Racism. So try that dichotomy, would you? Republican, anti-racism. And so he gives a perspective that no other Black person could give. And I love that about my show, about how we talk to Black people who are into cryptocurrency and who have made millions off of cryptocurrency. And people don't think that this is what we do, but this is what we do, you know? Like, I've talked to Black women who own hotel chains, Greg Johnson.
Wow.
This is what the Tammi Mac Late Show does. I want to show a different side of Black people, a side that other people have no idea, even to the detriment of Black people. We don't even know, because mainstream media doesn't show that aspect of us. A lot of times when these people become famous, we're like, oh, damn, but they've been around for forever.
Right.
Success
didn't happen overnight.
Yeah, they've been eventually you'll hear about these Black women who own these hotel chains, right? But you won't hear about them until about 10, 15 years down the line when mainstream media discovers them. Mm-hmm. But if you watch Black media, you will know that Black media, even your show, Greg, you give an entire different perspective, and you bring to light Black folk who people don't realize exist in a way that mainstream media doesn't allow us to exist, because these aren't the stories that they're telling about us.
Yeah, I appreciate your acknowledging that. You know, we really just want to tell our own stories, and there's so many stories out there. Because I just think, you know, if we don't tell it, who will? You know, and even if it does get picked up.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Even if it does get picked up by mainstream media, it's probably going to be a skewed and interesting story, you know, different story anyway. So
they don't respect our stories unless it comes from pain.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Unless it comes from some kind of pain that was cured by white folk. Mm-hmm. They don't accept our stories.
You know, it's interesting. We were talking about perspectives, right? And so there's a story that was in the mainstream news today about these people that were in Zimbabwe, right? And they got attacked, and they're saying that the people that attacked them were ISIS fighters and all this here, you know. And I was thinking about it. I said, you know, as tragic as that story is, and, you know, rest in peace to those who lost their lives in that tragic situation. But everybody, you know, when you think about that region, the story was told from a very white perspective. And if you know Zimbabwe and the legacy of Robert Mugabe and what those people are talking about, they're talking about, you know, stuff as drastic as taking back the farmlands that when the white settlers came, you know, we want to just take our land back, you know, evict you, get out, you know, go back to Europe somewhere. It's a very intense Black and white dynamic in that region of the world. And so when these people are out there doing the work that they were doing, I guess building some kind of big gas line or some old stuff out there, you know, it doesn't always mean that it's ISIS or they make these terrorist tags. These people have very deep tribal homeland, you know, concerns, which cause them to go to violence. And as wrong and as tragic as it is, I'm just saying that there is a perspective to that particular story. And, you know, all over the world, the Black perspective, you know, it's just different. You know, there's a story behind the story.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
All right, let me ask you this. Has your craft changed in this pandemic world? How are you? If so, how are you pivoting?
I'm doing everything from home. So yeah, it's changed drastically.
Yeah. You made a post the other day about newscasters from home.
Yeah, I'm like,
and I was looking at that. I'm like, well, Tammi Mac, ain't you at home?
I don't do hard news stories, Greg. You know, I'm not reporting about a local shooting at the grocery store from my living room. I'm not reporting about a car crash from my bedroom. I can't. I need these news reporters to get back in the studio and on the beat, quick, fast, and in a hurry. Because if it's coming from the living room, it's all gossip to me. I can't even believe you. I can't trust you. I can't trust you when you're in your kitchen trying to tell me what's going on in the world today.
Wow. Oh, that's so hilarious.
I feel like I'm getting news from Andy Cohen.
You know, that's so interesting. You know, you work at one of the most iconic radio stations in the whole entire world, certainly the epicenter of Black culture. and information in, in California and probably the world now with the internet and everything. But, talk about your time at KJLH through these all important elections. I mean, that was the home of, I still think, they need to submit the commercial to the people that give out the Marconi Awards. The radio commercial campaign by Congresswoman Maxine Waters was off the chain. I got the receipts. Talk about the whole experience of being, in your post during an all important election campaign. What were the people saying? What was it like to be there with your finger on the trigger over there?
Well, I mean, Greg Johnson, you know this because you have been a part of KJLH for decades, and everyone in the community respects you, what you've done to the community, and how you bridged KJLH and the community together in such a way to where KJLH literally is the fabric, a part of the fabric of Los Angeles in a really big way. And I give you credit for that. Because the way you formulated the relationships as marketing director between KJLH and between the community was simply like that was a feat. And so, that when these elections happen, we go all in at KJLH because it is very important for Black people to understand that when you vote, things change. And even if it's just a little, what I notice is lately people want change to happen real quick. Okay. And if it doesn't happen real quick, it's like, forget it. I don't deal with it. It didn't work. Let's stop. But whenever have Black people been been quitters? When have we been quitters? We are relentless. We are resilient. And so we have to keep that in mind every time these elections come up. I mean, we just kicked out a president. We voted in a president, 4 years prior to that. So don't slip on your power just because your power is not fully developed yet. You know what I mean? When you watch these movies and they talk about these the fantasy movies where these superheroes don't know how to use their powers. I think that's where Black people are right now. Like, we don't necessarily know how to use all of our powers, but the powers we use, when we use it together, it works in a major way. It works in a major way. So I don't think we should ever give up just because we don't see something happening today. Look, I always tell people, Black folks walked during the bus boycott for over a year. They walked for over a year. It took 9 months, 6 to 9 months, I think it was, that those young men at the Woolworth counter sat at that counter because they didn't just start letting Black people in just because they protested for a couple of days. No, they were out there for months. Black people walked for a year. It's a long time. And then it's not long at all when you think about it. So, yeah, I think that the elections for KJLH, they matter because it definitely helps the community to get the energy and the motivation out to make change politically.
Thank you for those accolades there, Tammi Mac. You're making me blush a little bit, but it was already there when I got there. I just took my turn at the plate, my swing at bat, and it was really an awesome time. And it is about the community. KJLH is an interesting place because, I'm sure that other stations you might read about the Black Panthers or hear about but the stories that you're reporting might talk about something that you heard, but at KJLH, you'll meet people and say, yeah, I was there,
yeah, I was a Black Panther.
Right. That was always fascinating to me. My friend, Mohammed Mubarak always, one thing that he shocked me when he said it too. We were talking about the famous LAPD versus Black Panthers shootout at 41st and Central way back in the day. And he was like, Greg, I was there. Shooting it out with the police. He's like, yep,
that was me.
Wow. Yeah, something else. All right, what's the hottest record right now? What you listening to, Tammi Mac? What are the people feeling?
Bruno Mars, Anderson .Paak, Silk Sonic, Leave the Door Open. That's an easy one. It's number one on the Billboard charts. It went number one in about 2 weeks.
Mhm. It's interesting. Their performance on the Grammys really opened. A lot of people didn't know about that song prior to the Grammys.
Well, the song had just come out right
Mm-hmm.
before the Grammys, so I think the song came out maybe, I want to say a few days before the Grammys, but it could have been a week before the Grammys. So yeah, it was a very new song, and the Grammys kind of sealed the deal with their old school with their old school Silk Sonic video, which was amazing. It was just amazing. Like,
Yeah.
And you can tell that people, you can tell that these newer artists are inspired heavily by the verses of Isley Brothers and Earth, Wind and Fire, because I'm sure Bruno Mars and every hip hop artist was like, now what's that song? Okay,
Right.
that song. Oh, I got that one from my next sample. You know, they were on it. Yeah.
We've been kind of touching on since the Grammys. Okay, so we had that classic performance by them. Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak. I mean, it is a dope record. I love that song. We have it on heavy rotation
over and over again.
Yeah, we have it on heavy rotation at Beach City Radio, beachcityradio.com as well. But then okay, what's your assessment of Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B? A lot of people felt like it was really kind of I guess the word is arresting to a good image of Black women, just not the right place for that exposition. What would you say?
You allowed to curse on your show?
Yeah, come on, let's go.
Because I would say, fuck them. I have a different look. I'm a creative, so I have a very different perspective about people's creations. And I don't think that there is anything new under the sun. A lot of people are tripping on Lil Nas X. And to that I say, DMX has played around with satanic images. Who else has played around with satanic images? I mean, and then we can also talk about, we can go all the way back to Foxy Brown, Lil Kim, when we talk about explicit, when we talk about, how women use their body in music for their creations. And I don't get what the hoopla is all about. And I am never for this, well, you're role models to the children, but I don't have children, so I can't speak to that. But I don't even want to pontificate on what I would do if I had children. But I will say this. If you don't want your kids to watch it, then don't let them watch it. Madonna, at the time when she first came out, did Like a Virgin at the MTV Awards and was all over the floor. And I mean, she was dressed more than Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion at that time. I think it was in the 80s, the late 80s. And everybody made a big stink out of it. And today, if you go back and look at Madonna's Like a Virgin video from the MTV Music Awards, you'll be like, this is what people were up in arms about? Madonna, and this is what when we talk about Lil Nas X and his satanic shoes or his satanic video, whatever it is, this demonic video, Madonna also did a video where she slept with the priest of the Catholic Church in Like a Prayer. So I don't know if people remember that, but that caused a lot of ruckus about Madonna. But I also think, and this is the part that pisses me off the most, when people start talking about how, ooh, it's a demon, and ooh, it's the devil music, and da-da-da-da. Madonna did the Like a Prayer video. You have to think about people's history and what has happened to them in the past. Madonna had a very tumultuous relationship with the Catholic Church. And she has been very vocal about that. And so you can understand why she would speak out about the Catholic Church in such a way. And Lil Nas X has had a history, after he came out of the closet, he's had a history of people saying to him, you're going to go to hell for being gay. So what does he do? He makes a video of him going to hell for being gay. And now y'all mad. But that's exactly what you said he was going to do. So now he makes a video about it. I'm confused. I'm totally confused. But this is what creators do. They are inspired by personal stories, personal attacks. And honestly, because I myself have created pieces of artwork myself because I'm a writer and a producer as well. And those things are healing. They are healing for traumatic things that have happened in your life. And who are we to tell people how they can heal? Who are we to do that? If it's not your thing, don't watch it. If it's not your thing, don't support it. And go ahead. This is a free country. You can say what you want to say. Say he going to hell. Say he the devil. Say whatever you want to say. But in the end, the judgment does not come from humans. And we all know that. We all know that, Minister Greg Johnson.
Well, so if I may put my minister hat on, I ain't stunting them demonic shoes, yo. That's a bit much now. I'm not trying to censor my brother. I am definitely against that, but if you ask me, no to the shoes. And then, you know what, Tammi Mac?
I said no to the shoes until I saw them. I was like,
well,
look.
Kind of cute. All right, be careful. The wiles of the devil. You better be careful.
I think they stopped. Right. I don't want to go to hell. Don't get it twisted. Just because I'm speaking up for somebody, don't mean I want to go to hell.
You're right.
Do not get that twisted, okay? I live my life. Now that's Lil Nas X in his life. And I'm not going to hell for saying, look, that man's speaking his piece. But another thing that Tammi Mac show is about, though, Greg, it's about allowing people to speak their piece without judgment, without placing judgment on it. So that part of my show, I'm pretty proud of because it allows people to speak in a way that they don't get backlash of hate. And what I encourage for the show is for people to understand. And if they don't understand, just hear what another person has to say. Just listen. Sometimes we don't have to add our two pieces. But now in this world of social media, everybody got a platform. Everybody has a platform. So, if I say I love oranges, somebody gonna post on my thing, yeah, but apples are better. Well, why you hating on bananas? Right. You know what I mean? Like, it literally does not matter what you say. Somebody has the anti or the antithesis of whatever your opinion is. So, I'm happy for Lil Nas because we have to understand that man is 19 years old and he came out of the closet. Now, put to the side, and maybe you can or you can't, but put to the side how you feel about being gay and how you feel about the Bible and what it says about being gay. Regardless of my own personal feelings about homosexuality or how it connects to the Bible, Greg, he's still gay. He still likes men. And he is still in a world where it's very difficult to live out that truth in a way that doesn't affect his self-esteem, that doesn't affect him questioning who he is, and that doesn't affect how he will become a man. Because whether he's gay or not, he's still a man. And a 19-year-old, this is going to affect how he sees the world. And so I think for him to be able to get that out at such an early age gives him space to be able to forgive, to be able to live with the judgment, and to be able to kind of balance it out in a way that doesn't make a brother want to commit suicide. Because it will. I mean, how many gay people have committed suicide? And it will do that because the harshness of being gay, the harshness from the community that comes with being gay will literally drive you to kill yourself. And then here come the Christians again. Well, the Bible say, if you kill yourself, you be forgiven by God. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's got a lot. Gay folk got a lot to contend with, so for me, Lil Nas X and the video, if that's what he needs to do as his therapy is create things like that. And aside from how I feel about homosexuality or the Bible, I'm sorry, that video was on point. I loved it.
You loved it?
I loved it. It was so creative. And then I also thought, I think people are looking at it wrong. I think people are looking at it wrong, Greg, because what happens is he starts off in heaven. He starts, or we could call it heaven. He starts off in what looks to be heaven. And then he's kissed by this androgynous being. So we don't know if it's a man, a woman, a bisexual. And that was very intentional as well, I'm sure. But let's just say that it was a man, right? So he gets kissed by this androgynous being. And this kiss sends him to hell. But when he gets to hell, he kills the devil. We forget about that part. He kills the devil. He seduces the devil and kills the devil. Wow. Well, now, but then in the end, he puts the devil horns on. So I don't know if that means he becomes the devil. So, but actually, what he becomes is what people have been calling him, if that makes sense. You know, so he kills the devil and he becomes the devil because, in a sense, he feels like people have made him out to be the devil for being gay. And all of my interpretation could be wrong because, you know, creativity is creativity. It's, you know, interpreted.
Yeah. Right. Well, you know, it is what it is. And I just think, you know, I don't know about Lil Nas X. I do know that we definitely have to walk in love. I am also very, very aware that there are messages out there that come from very deep principalities and high powers. And that's like you mentioned, what's the lady's name? Madonna. You mentioned Madonna. I think it could be said when we talk about the myth or non-myth of the Illuminati. I think if you look at her imagery, there's a lot of symbols in there. Yes. So I think a lot of artists that we identify as coming through secret societies and all of that, the symbolism is out there and it's in there through music. And this is probably a subject for a whole entire another coffee conversations with Greg J, but symbolism through music is all throughout and always has been, you know, for generations. And so we do have to be careful with the type of images that we take in. If it doesn't fit, then don't watch it, you know. But the thing about living in a free country, don't censor them either.
Yeah, I think if it's not your thing, it's not your thing.
Right.
You know? And there's no judgment in that either, if it's not your thing. But I say, who are we to damn somebody to hell?
That's right. Well, you know, that Bible that the Christians always quote, y'all stop when it says homosexuals. There's a whole laundry list in that sentence. And he ends the sentence
okay, go ahead.
And he ends the sentence by saying, do not judge. So we forget about that part too. So that's that. All right. What about the sports world? You're checking out the basketball. Did you see any of the basketball, the women's basketball?
I did watch the women's basketball game and I felt really bad for Arizona. But they put up a good fight and they have absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. They should be all the way proud of themselves because that game was better than the Baylor game.
Lost by 1 point. Lost by 1 point.
That game was absolute. It had you on your feet the whole time. Whereas the Baylor Gonzaga game, whatever. And y'all don't want to pay women more than men and give women, as much gym space and gym equipment as men. Y'all better think about that thing.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute. I'm all for it. I love women's basketball, by the way. I love it. I don't know. It's just one of my favorite sports. So now, having said that, okay, I feel that 100%. I need to see, you know, the superstars in women's basketball making hundreds of millions of dollars too. I think it's a great thing. But the people have to support it. Why don't people come out in mass for the women like they do for the men?
I don't know, but in soccer they do.
Yeah, in soccer they do.
Soccer they do, and the women's soccer players don't get paid as much as the men. The women's soccer team has won 4 championships, 2 consecutively, and the men have won none. And in some cases, not even made playoffs, and they still get paid more than the women. So you can say it's because nobody's watching. But the women's soccer team proves that it has nothing to do with who's watching and who's not.
That's a good point. You know, my friends over in Africa, let me just say this. The brothers over in Africa, my friends, They're not looking at the NBA and all that. I was over there one time during March Madness, and I went to the bar looking to see my March Madness game, and I couldn't find it. And so the brother says, he looks at me and he's like, I say, hey, man, don't y'all look at basketball, watch basketball? He was like, no. And then I said, well, what do you watch? He said, soccer. So I began to really follow soccer a lot. And when I talked to the homies back there in Africa, and I explained to them that the women's soccer game in America is so much huger than over there. They cannot believe it. I'm like, man, the women got it going on, especially in soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing. All right, what else? What's your favorite movie right now? Coming to America. My favorite movie of all time, Coming to America 1. Coming to America 2. I've watched it like 5 times. Okay, I'm just real talk. I watched it 5 times. Yeah. But I was disappointed just because I was looking for a better connection in the storyline, and that's really because I'm in love with the first one, and that's why I was kind of critical. I was like, well, him having a kid in, come on, they got drunk and. Nah, come on. I just couldn't believe it.
Really, they really didn't come to America. Everybody came to Zamunda. So she's been coming to Zamunda. Because only a piece of it happened in America. Everything else happened at Rick Ross' house.
True. So how did you feel about it when you first saw it?
I was like you. I felt the story lacked content, but it was very nostalgic, which I think was the same for Eddie Murphy's Saturday Night Live appearance. It wasn't the funniest, but it was nostalgic, and we love Eddie Murphy, and we want to see Eddie Murphy win. So, I think we supported it, and it was the most streamed on Amazon. So we went out and we supported it. So I'm happy that it happens. Do I wish the storyline were a little better? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Will it be as classic 20 years from now?
No.
No, huh? Yeah.
Coming to America, the original will always be the classic.
Man, that's the bomb movie right there. I'll watch it every chance I get.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that millennials or Gen Z understood most of the movie, because most of the movie had the nostalgic appeal. And so if you weren't around, what was it, 30 years ago?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 30 years, yeah.
Or 35. I can't remember. But if you weren't around, look, if you weren't born before 2000 or 1996, right. You didn't understand none of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you really didn't understand. You didn't understand why Vanessa Bell Calloway was there. You didn't understand why Arsenio Hall was there. You didn't understand the context of James Earl Jones. So it was very difficult to have a feeling if you weren't a part of the coming to America culture.
Yeah. Dr. Gloria, she's saying an obviously fictionalized African country, yes, obvious. And it's so funny you say that, Dr. Gloria, because when we talk to our African friends, a lot of times they'll remind you that this isn't Zamunda, this isn't Wakanda. They love those movies.
That it's fictional. I think we know it's fictional.
Right. But, but some Black folks take it to the, because they don't know. They don't know. Okay. And I think
that's unfortunate that people think they really is a Zamunda.
Yeah. Well, they do. I mean, but at the same time, when you go over there, they're not all living in huts and stuff either.
This is true.
Yeah.
And which speaks to what you talked about earlier. How important is it for Black people to speak? And what I can say about Eddie Murphy, his legacy is cemented because Eddie Murphy has given Black people jobs since day one. You look at all of his movies, every last one of them, and he has given a Black person a shot. Once he became the man, because I think, 48 Hours was his kind of kickoff, right? Or was it Trading Places? Trading Places or 48 Hours? I think maybe Trading Places. I can't remember which came first.
Man, a long time ago.
I can't remember which came first. At any rate, after those Beverly Hills Cops movies, and Eddie Murphy started writing and producing his own movies, you have to look at Boomerang, all those black people, Harlem Nights, all those black people, Norbit, all those black people. You have to give him credit for always making his people work. He always gave opportunity. And every comedian out there who is a product of Eddie Murphy will let you know they are a product of Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, so Nutty Professor, all those.
Yeah.
Man.
Eddie Murphy, he helped black people. If it weren't for Eddie Murphy, I don't know how many black people would be in movies.
Right.
Yeah,
Boomerang, man, that was the greatest soundtrack of all time.
Made Eddie Murphy's space and place in Hollywood when it comes to giving black folks jobs.
Yeah.
Y'all talk about Tyler Perry, but before there was a Tyler Perry, baby, Eddie Murphy was putting black folk to work.
Yeah. So Tyler Perry, he's the next generation. Generation next. That's good stuff. Good. Hey, let me ask you this question here. It just popped into my head. Stevie Wonder moving to Africa?
You know better than to be asking me, Stevie.
Hey, I reached out to him. I tried to get him to come on Coffee Conversations to talk about it. We'll see.
If Stevie Wonder say he moving to Wakanda or Zamunda, then Stevie Wonder is moving to Wakanda and Zamunda.
That's right. Oh my goodness. So many people. My phone is, it's probably since he made that, I had that interview with Oprah. Every week, 2 or 3 people, yo, your man lip moving? I'm like, I don't know. So
we had a long conversation about it, but
well, I will say, not his first time saying it. Me and Carl Nelson, we're talking about that.
You've known him way longer than I have.
So, good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Hey, I heard you taking up roller skating. What you think about it?
You nosy. Well, if I can be totally honest with you, Greg J, I was up for a series role. And it required me to roller skate some. And so I was brushing up on my roller skating. I did not get the role. And I've been in a funk ever since because I really, 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 really wanted it. And I didn't get it. But now I like to roller skate again. So now I'm roller skating again.
So you do it outside?
Yeah, outside. I do it in the parking garage of the mall.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's been a pandemic, and so nobody's really been in the
rink.
There have been no cars in the mall parking lot. So I've been able to skate all by myself in the mall parking lot and just chill, because there are literally no cars in the Northridge parking lot.
It's funny, as we begin to examine be inclusive and examine American cultures. African-American skate culture is the bomb. I was a part of that for a lot of years, and it's really, really something. And I can't wait to see you, Tammi Mac, in the rink, getting it in. I know Houston got some.
I can only skate around the rink, but but I used to DJ at a skating rink growing up. So the skating rink has been a huge part of my life. Because I started DJing at the skating rink when I was like in the 6th grade, all the way up through high school. So, yeah. So I that skating rink culture is definitely embedded into me because I used to play the music. I remember one night I was DJing the Sunday skating rink. And on Sundays, the churches bring, their congregation out to skate on Sundays. I don't know if it's after church or I guess after church. And so the churches would come. And I played the Staple Singers, name a couple of Staple Singer songs. I'll tell you. Let's do it again. Let's do it again.
Okay.
So I played the Staple Singers, Let's Do It Again. And this pastor got so hot at me, baby. She was like, that is not a Christian song. That is the devil's music. And if she don't stop playing that devil music, and I was like, but it's the Staple Singers. The gospel.
It's a gospel group.
Like, ain't they gospel? But then years later, I realized it. I guess, what is it? I'll take you there.
I'll take you there.
Let's do it again. Or I'll take you there.
Let's do it again. I'll take you there.
I was playing I'll Take You There.
I'll take you there.
I feel
Yes.
like I was playing that, but I could have been playing Let's Do It Again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why she got mad, because Let's Do It Again is from one of those Bill Cosby, Sidney Poitier.
Yeah, that was from.
I think Let's Do It Again was the name.
Let's Do It Again. It was a movie. That's the title. Yeah. So I feel like was that Mavis Staples and them, or was that
It was the Staple Singers.
It wasn't that Staple
It was
Singers.
the Staple Singer song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought because it was the Staple Singer and it was gospel, I could play it. That lady got so mad. She wanted my job, and I was like, "Look, lady, I am 15 years old. How you gonna come take my job?"
That's all right. Super producer.
I'm growing. Come on now, you wrong. That's what I'm saying. And Christian folk be so judgmental and harsh on people. She could have come in, Greg. It could have been a learning moment for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she could have come in the DJ booth and said, "Ma'am, I understand you young, but this song is not appropriate for a Sunday skating rink night. Now, this is a gospel group, but this song was for a movie, and it is not saying anything relative to the Lord. So you might want to watch." She could have been kinder. That's all.
That's right. That's right. All right. You know, back in the day, you had your one woman show, and super producer Rhonda Love is asking, when are you returning to the theater? I am proud that you won 3 NAACP theater awards. That's awesome, man. That right there. Man, my face was hurting so much when I got that news that night. When you returning back to the theater?
I don't know if it counts anymore. It was 2015, 2016.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it counts anymore in Hollywood. I got to stop putting it on my resume. What is your coffee cup say? Hustle juice. Hustle juice. I like that. That's dope.
Yay.
First they got to open up the theaters. So I can't say when, but I will say this: I'm giving you a lot of exclusives today, Greg J. I am in the process of writing a feature film.
Awesome. Yes.
And I think we're gonna produce it in Houston.
Oh wow. Okay. Awesome. Well, congratulations on that. Keep on striving. Yes. Oh, I got a part for you too. I got a little something.
It may not happen anytime soon.
It takes time.
I don't think.
Yeah, it takes time.
Yeah.
And you know, I've watched you grow and everything. You're very studious about and intentional about your work, and I know that it'll be awesome. And I just can't wait. I want to be the first on the red carpet.
I love the movie. Let me tell you, I promise you. I mean, I'll tell you off air, but you are going to love the movie, and I'll tell you, it's a horror film.
Okay. All right. Very good.
You are going to love. It is right up your alley, bruh. Right up your alley. You're gonna be like, yes, tell me that. Oh my God. And I'm like, yeah, it's a movie exclusively for you.
That's right.
You're gonna love every bit of it. You're gonna be like, oh no, you didn't. Oh no, you didn't.
Oh, so good. You know, it's interesting. Now that I'm out here in Long Beach, I'm on the board of directors of the Arts Council for Long Beach, and I'm the treasurer. And you know what? It's exposed me to, elements of art that I probably would not have been in view of. It's very cool. My community is much more diverse, to say the least, now, and I find I'm spending a lot of my work week. Portion of that is advocating for the arts, intersecting with local governments, intersecting with state policymakers to make sure that, especially in this time of economic recovery, some of this trillions of stimulus money coming down here to us in these cities, a portion of that is earmarked for the arts. Just from your heart, as an artist, as a creative, tell the people how important the arts are to our recovery, to our spiritual well-being as people who have gone through such an unprecedented time in this pandemic. How important are the arts?
Oh man, I have no words. I have no words how important the arts is to our recovery, to our healing. And and also to our acknowledgement of what we've been through. You know, Black art in any realm. I don't care if it's comedy. I don't care if it's drama. I don't care if it's paintings, if it's music. I mean, we just talked about Lil Nas X. And I said that I believe that the video is a part of his own healing in terms of being berated as a gay man, as a Black gay man. And so I feel that same way about just being Black. There's no other way for us to make what has happened to us palatable, palpable, than through the arts, because otherwise other folk wouldn't even accept it. But they will accept it if we give it to them in an artistic way, if that makes sense, you know. And so I think it's incredibly necessary for our healing. I know my artwork for me was extremely healing. It opened a lot of wounds as well. And so when you open wounds, guess what you have to do? You have to heal them. And so I believe that healing process is slow. But like I said earlier in the show, I believe Black people are resilient and we never give up. We're relentless in our fight. And we have always been since we were put on those boats and shipped out here. We have always been a relentless people. And I think art helps us to deliver that in a way that everybody gets to understand us, but also in a way that helps us ourselves to heal. But that's an amazing question. That's an amazing question.
Yeah, you know, Tammi Mac, that's part of my life now in all races, all sexual orientations, all genders. I'm all disciplines. I mean, my new best friend is Kelly Lucera. Hi, Kelly, if you're watching. She's the director of the Long Beach Symphony out here. But who would have thought, you know, I'd be trying to do some stuff with the symphony, you know what I mean? And then just painters and all that kind of stuff. You know?
Yeah. But I want to say, Greg, you've come a long way. And I'm talking about, you know, because you are a hardcore military man. You know what I'm saying? And I've known you for quite some time now. And I'm not going to share on your show because what's between us is between us. But I know the growth that you have had. And the reason why I say this to you, Greg, is because when people hit a certain age, they don't want to grow anymore. They don't want to change anymore. They don't want to learn nothing new, do nothing new. And that is not who you are. And so I know that there have been many times that you and I have sat down and had serious, hardcore conversations about certain aspects of life where both of us differ in a real way. and you slowly but surely started like, maybe I'll think about that, Tammi Mac. Well, maybe I'll use a different perspective this time, Tammi Mac. So I have to say, like, you have come a long way from your hardcore. I'm a man's military man. Now I'm not saying you ain't a man's man. You still a man's man. But I do appreciate you wanting to grow and be a better human being in life. In terms of just personal growth. I really, really applaud you and appreciate you for that.
Thank you. Yes, come a long way. And if you
I wish y'all could tell them some things, but I can't. There have been times where I've been like, Greg, you can't say that. I'm gonna say what I say. I'm from the military. I don't know, whatever the numbers you be calling out.
Look, I will tell you this.
Chinese nations and stuff you be calling out.
I will tell you this story. Because it's actually indicative of that growth. And when this happened to me, I'm thinking about everything that you're talking about, Tammi Mac. So I was in this meeting, right? And my colleague, it was a board meeting, and my colleague was talking about a certain conversation that they were having in the community about arts education.
Mm-hmm.
And he was describing how a parent had asked a certain question and it offended him. And the word he used, he said, well, that was a very heteronormative question that she asked. And I had never heard this term before. That's what I did. I was in a meeting. I'm like looking at my phone like, what the heck?
Bro got words. See what he's talking about.
Right.
Hetero what? Normative.
Yes, heteronormative. So you're going to find there's all these studies. It's a thing. Okay. So to be heteronormative is to say that you cannot continue to look at the world as an example, as a marriage is always man and woman, is husband and wife. You have to now, we can't, to be heteronormative is your basic assumption that's going to be. Now,
I got it, because they're trying to, I got what you're saying, because in some schools now, I can't remember what districts, but they are trying to stop the usage of the words mother and father.
Right.
Did you know this? Did you hear about that?
I've heard about it.
Trying to stop the usage of the word mother and father, which, look, I'm pretty liberal, and you know this about me, Greg. I'm extremely liberal, but my mama gonna be my mama.
Right.
Thank you very much. And you will refer to her as my mother, and I will refer to her as my mother. We are not gonna be my parent number one and my parent number two. No. My mama is my mama. Period. Point blank. I don't even
right.
It's getting a little too much.
It's a lot. And in this instance, I looked it up, and when I saw all of the papers, I did a deep dive. I read these people's dissertations, PhD dissertations, all this and everything. And so I started thinking about it, and then I had a conversation, and I said, okay, so basically you're asking me to forsake everything that my father taught me, and I'm not willing to do that. My father was a great man. Willie Johnson was a great man. And, I'm not even going to get into, spiritual judgments or any of that. I'm just I don't want to offend, because sometimes you'll say stuff and, because you don't know, because like you just said, we have come up in this thing, my mom's going to be my mom, my dad's going to be my dad. But if you come, in these communities, if you're walking among them, you could easily offend somebody by something that you say, but it's too much. It's too much. And old head like me, I mean, why can't I just be what's a cisgender? The heck? You got too many alphabets for me.
Look, I'm not going to be the one to explain the LGBTQ plus to you. I will gladly defer that to an LGBTQ plus member. So I can't give you definitions of cis and nothing else.
Well, I've decided just to walk in love. That's
the best thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best thing to do. It really is. I just feel like today people just shout their opinion out too much.
Yeah.
Somebody asked for it, okay, but to be all out shouting it out, I don't really know about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I actually feel like, I literally do feel like everybody has a talk show now. And so everybody is, has their opinion and stuff is going out. And it to the point to where I kind of sort of don't want to have a talk show anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I got two, you know what I mean? but I kind of feel like I don't know how, I don't necessarily know how my purpose lives through what I do, because it's so saturated now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm beginning to rethink it, because I want to be where God is purposing me to be. And so now I'm unclear about it because of the saturation of it. I'm like, well, nobody's listening to me when they want to hear about who Nene slept with last night. Like I don't really know that what I'm putting out is of interest to people. And so that just kind of, I think about that a lot lately.
Yeah, I think about it too, but somebody is listening, because you know what? I think that what the mass media machine is feeding us is mindless babble. And I think that's intentional. I think there is, I was on a virtual media marketing discussion, and the woman was from Nielsen, and she was saying the number one television show among African Americans was Love and Hip Hop. And I was like,
I thought it was Housewives of Atlanta, but okay.
I was like,
they do more fighting on Love and Hip Hop. Okay, got it.
So this is what we want to consume
Love
the
and Hip Hop
most.
is younger than the Atlanta Housewives, too.
Right. All of those are crazy to me. But I mean, people are listening to you because they can get some substance. So now if we are looking at Love and Hip Hop or Housewives of Atlanta and all that other stuff, it's just mindless stuff and has no really redeeming value. So we need Black voices like yours that's giving us some substance, something that we can think about, something that we can reflect on, something positive that we can feed our spirit to counter this negative image that they're constantly pushing out to us and holding up to the world and just saying, hey, this is what Black people are all about.
You're right. There has to be a balance.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, there has to be a balance. And that is actually what Black people are fighting for now. We're fighting for a balance. So when you see white movies, you see white movies with, when they're the villains, you see white movies when they're the heroes, you see white movies when they're poor, you see white movies when they're rich, you see a plethora of whiteness. But when you see a Black movie, it typically before today, it was always Black people in the hood who are ghetto robbing people. And so now, that we've got this whole movement going on, you now see movies about Black love more than we've seen in the past. That has absolutely nothing to do with us being Black or white, but just about Black love. And you see movies that reflect just, I don't know. I was watching a movie, I think it was called The 40-Year-Old Rapper. I forget the name of it. But it was about this 40-year-old woman who wanted to be a rapper. I'm like, yeah, that's a different side of it. It was good. But I'm like, that's a different side of us. So I think we've just been asking for more representation so that we don't come across to the masses as hoodlums and thugs, because we're not.
Yeah, no, we're not. That's right. Wow, you know what? We are way past our time. I could sit up here and talk to you, Tammi Mac, until you go on the air this afternoon.
I'm here.
Right? So any last words, any parting shots you want to say to the people? How can we get a hold of you?
My last words are always follow no one's advice. Those are my last words. Follow no one's advice.
Follow no one's advice. All right. How can we get a hold of you?
At the Tammi Mac Show on Instagram, at the Tammi Mac Show. And you can listen to me on Radio Free KJLH from 3 to 7 p.m. Pacific. And then you can watch me on YouTube, Tubi, Apple TV, Roku, Zumo. What else? Any platform. You can watch the Tammi Mac Late Show, which happens at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern, every night, Monday through Friday.
Awesome.
Really love me. You can watch me from 3. You can hear me from 3 p.m. all the way to 11 p.m.
Oh, back to back.
Back to back.
Wow. Oh, that's what's up. You can binge Tammi Mac.
Oh, that's good.
That's something.
I'm just trying to make sure I'm living in his purpose here.
Yeah.
It's a little tricky sometimes.
Yes.
Money can blind you. Money can blind you, and it can take you out of your it can take you out of your purpose.
We'll have to have you come back and dissect that one. I'm just all right. Hey, listen, I want to
look, Greg, what I'm saying is, I know you got to go, but what I'm saying is sometimes we can do things for money or for the money, but it's not necessarily what we're purposed to do. And a lot of people think because we're making money from it, that equals to purpose. And God has nothing to do with that. Finances ain't his thing. That's not his thing. I mean, he blesses you with them, right? He blesses them with you, and you will be blessed if you're living in his purpose. But finances have nothing to do with how he works. That has to do with how we work. His purpose is oftentimes designed for a multitude, for the masses. So it's never for you and only you. It's typically for you. It's typically through you to other people.
That's right.
Does that make sense?
It makes all the sense in the world. That's
other people.
Look, that sounds like one of them lessons I was teaching you there.
It might have been, because we had a whole bunch of Bible conversations now. I had to come to you, Minister. I'm like, hold on, Greg. The Bible say this, but that ain't. I don't know about this. This sounds stupid to me. That's how me and Greg talk. I'll be like, Greg, this sounds stupid to me, and Greg be like, no, let me take you to this path.
Tammi walked up to my bishop and said, "Oh, he loved the Lord now." That was a good reply. I just need you to know. Hilarious.
I was having non-judgmental conversations with you, and you was having biblical conversations.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Tammi Mac, man, always much love for you, much respect. You are awesome. I'm so proud of the things that you're doing. And, hey, you got to come on through Coffee Conversations. Where's your coffee anyway? You don't drink coffee?
I don't drink coffee, but, I could have put a coffee cup up with some hot chocolate in it. I'm in Houston right now. My mother is recovering from surgery. And so I'm here to care for my mom. And so the timing, our times are different. And so I think it's maybe, what time is it? It's 12 o'clock here. Yeah, it's after 12 here. So so I didn't get my coffee cup and stuff ready in time because I was doing other stuff.
Doing other stuff. That's right.
You invite me back on, I'll have my coffee cup ready for you next time.
Okay, that's right. You got an open door. Let's keep it going. We had Karen Slade on here a couple weeks ago.
That's amazing.
Yeah, had Karen and another general manager. Her name is Wendy Williams, not the Wendy Williams, but she is Wendy Williams, and she's WCLK, Clark Atlanta University Jazz Radio Station. And we had my friend Tommy Ngubeni from Johannesburg, South Africa. You met her when she was here in the United States. And we had Mutter Evans, the second Black woman to ever own a radio station. She came out of North Carolina and had a very good.
I know her well.
Yeah, we had a very good.
But I'm very familiar with her because she was all the rage. I graduated from Bennett College in Greensboro, North Carolina. So she was all the rage in Greensboro, Winston-Salem, High Point.
Yeah, we had those phenomenal women on, and out of that came we're going to organize an International Black Women in Broadcasting Summit over in South Africa. And that's what we're going to do it. So I'll keep you posted on that one. Got to get it going.
All right, sounds like a plan, Greg J. Thank you for
y'all.
The show. I appreciate you.
You got a deal, you guys. Everybody, you know what? This show is available on Facebook Live. Like and share us on Coffee Conversations with Greg J. Also at Beach City Radio, beachcityradio.com. And also now, we're putting this up on our podcast platforms. Wherever you get your favorite podcast, you can hear this, the audio only of it. Coffee Conversations with Greg J on Apple, Spreaker, iHeart, Stitcher, all over the place. Just type us in, Coffee Conversations with Greg J. As always, love one another. Love one another. Love one another.
There it is.
Peace and blessings.
Bye, Greg.
Bye. It'll end sometime. There it is.